set up and do. Okay. Let's back it up, back it up, back it up. I don't think that's back far enough. Oh. I have to fix this chair. One of the legs is getting wonky. Oh my goodness, what a friggin' day. Man, it's just been a hot mess. So I tried to start this a few minutes ago. The webcam doesn't want to cooperate. Nothing wants to cooperate. No, I don't want the clock. I want to turn the volume off on the laptop, on Michael's computer. We're not at mine. Go to my channel. Hello, Jeanette. I tried setting this up ages ago, like half an hour ago, and cannot get my son's for some reason his computer was not going to let me get live. It just wasn't happening. So I'm now trying to do it through the phone. Now I just tweaked the description so that people know what it's kind of about. And I thought I would, hello Val, I thought I would just, oh, and there's Nora. Oh, I love raspberries. I love raspberries. But I thought I would come on, and I'm sorry the lighting is going to be so goofy because there are no lights in this corner. There's a window just here, and then of course the one behind me. But I thought I'd come on and work for an hour and let you guys see some of the process, and also try to see what you guys are working on. If you need some, morale boost today, just hang out for an hour and while I do stuff, because one of the things you don't see is that when I do a live sale, I have this notebook. Now, look how packed this is. I normally, because I need to keep it short, I normally don't fill the page, right? This is from a sale before, right? It doesn't go all the way to the bottom. I keep it limited, especially if I have to be up the next morning. Well, I was supposed to be up and have plenty of sleep for Friday. I had 3 hours sleep. Why? Because I did a 3-hour and 22-minute live sale. Yes, Wawa is supposed to be, I only heard about it 2 days ago, CDC. Wawa is supposed to be expanding into Ohio next. They're going south. Well, no, Ohio's west, but they're kind of jumping because Sheetz has a big chunk of the center of Pennsylvania. I'm not sure if Sheetz is all the way out to Pittsburgh. So they're kind of leapfrogging Sheetz territory to go out to Ohio. So they're also in Virginia. There's some in Florida now. They're getting there. They're slowly making it bigger. But anyway, the Christmas sale, this is why it was 3 hours and 22 minutes long. This is all stuff. And then this is more stuff. I threw at you guys every Christmas thing I found. And once I got into that bin, I didn't realize how much flat stuff I had that had been in there. So that also added more to that sale, but I was determined to try to get through. And I still found something the next day that I went, oh crap, I was going to put that in the sale. So there might be 1 or 2 Christmas items that sneak into the next sale, but because there's a vintage, it's very simple, but it's a vintage wreath with a candle in the middle. That's that Mike took one look at and went, we're not putting that up. it's not decorative enough for him. But so that will probably sneak into the next sale. But that's where I start with. I mean, I make my little list, and usually I have prices researched and already figured out. I research a thing. However, when I started that sale, I had down to here researched. I didn't have anything else. I ran out of time with all the fun of what was going on here. We just didn't get that far. So yeah, and then the cats kept trying to climb in the bin. That didn't help. Kept lifting them back out. Get out, you know. But it goes from that, and I have everybody's name on there, to then I have another notebook, which I can't show too much because I don't want to show people's addresses. But then, see, it has the sale name, and it has who it is, and then I'll put everything together of what they've bought. But that's not this is just my record of sales. I don't have anything done like in the computer. In high school, when I had computers, it literally was a CRT machine, cathode ray tube machine. It was a monitor to a typewriter, because that's all it was at that point. A glorified typewriter, floppy disk you had to put in, and you could only do print documents. That's what I had in 1982 to 83 and 83 to 84 as for business education track in high school, because I was only in the public school for 2 years and then graduated. I'd been in private Christian schools for 5 years before that. There was definitely a culture shock switching schools. But then the next thing I do is I have a packing list. Now, the packing list is a couple of pages. I could show you this one because she's passed away, poor dear. But it has like everything on it. Now, those red dots, that was from one box that was already sent. And so, but everything else was stuff that still needed to get sent. Some things she had changed her mind on, which were the things in red. But so this way I have a packing list that I work on. Whoops, don't want to show addresses. That I work on. And this way I have everything by the person, so that if it was from more than one sale, I consolidate and put it all in one box. Does end up saving you guys on shipping if I'm doing that, but I don't like being this far behind. So I'm still working on that. So right now I'm transferring everything from the last sale over to the packing list, so that then I can get some packing done today. I see Val is cleaning and decorating and a little overwhelmed, but getting it done. It can be. It can be. I have found that cleaning for Christmas, for a lot of people, this thing's trying to compensate for the light, and it just can't. Let me see if these will help. Mike has these battery operated little lights. I don't think they'll do squat to really help with the flicker of the light. Yeah, maybe if I sit still. The phone is trying to compensate for the light flux of the brightness of the window behind me. So I'm sorry for it giving a flickering effect. Hello, Trisha. But I have found that a lot of friends have said that cleaning for Christmas is totally different than cleaning your house any other time of the year. So that, what is it? I used to have one that was interesting. It's keyboard that would click on top and you could carry. Oh, yeah. But anyway, that at Christmas, you seem to be much more anxious about how well you clean it, as opposed to, this is annoying the crap out of me, this flickering light. Let me see if it helps if I move you so that you're kind of between. Nope. I'm not at my desk. I'm in Michael's room. The webcam's not cooperating. This is not cooperating. That's worse. But the webcam just did not want to cooperate at all. Oh, wait. Hey, I know what might help. Hang on, you're going to go for a ride. There we go. Put the camera in a different place. That might work. That might make it a little better because then my head's blocking the window more. But you get more anxious because you feel like you're going to be judged more at Christmas. And I can tell you that I have never once, ever, for all the parties I've gone to at Christmas time with the community theater groups, I have my own family, I've never once looked around the house to see if there was dust in a corner somewhere. I've spent my time looking at the decorations and the bookshelves and played with the cat or the dog, and then talk to people, you know? So don't wire yourself up quite so much. But the decorating, yeah, everybody always wants the decorating to be, you're pulling out all these boxes at one time. And I think that's the overwhelming part. I stopped doing that a long time ago. My mother used to insist the tree had to go up on Christmas Eve. There would be hardly any decorations up. And you want to magically do all this in one night, and I'm working retail and I'm working Christmas Eve, and then I got to come home to that. And meanwhile, my best friend's having an open house and I want to be able to go do that. And she actually would call the house and say, tell Nancy it's time to come home. Do you know, as a teenager, how embarrassing that is? So, you know, it just, I was determined, I'm never doing that crap. We get to Thanksgiving weekend, and once Thanksgiving's done, then we'll start decorating. Now with the little monsters, we're not doing much. Mike's hoping to try to get the Christmas lights up. It just was so bitter cold with the wind yesterday when he had off and we were waiting for the adjuster to come for the car that he's just like, nope, not doing it. So he's hoping that maybe today we'll get out there and get the outside lights up. And then I put up those 4 fairy pictures, the little frost fairy babies. Those are up in the hallway downstairs. I have my little TARDIS decorated. I want to put something else out, but I'm afraid for its sake from the kittens. I miss Sam and Sarah's show so much, and I miss them. But I have this wonderful snowman assemblage that she made, and I'm terrified of what the kittens might do to it. So I'm leaving it in a box. I really want to bring it out and enjoy it like I did last year, but I'm just so afraid that they would damage it. So no. But anyway, I stopped pulling everything out at one time because it was overwhelming. So now I know in our attic, all the boxes that have stuff for the tree are specifically labeled tree. So they don't come out until we do the tree. And then I have it separated as to, you know, there's boxes of stuff that are for outside. That's all together in one little area. And hopefully we can get to it because I'd like to put the reindeer outside. We haven't had that out in a long while. And my mom got it a long time. It's one of these wire cage light up reindeer. But we did get to the point where we at one point had things separated. So when I can actually get in there to everything, it's all set up by where it's going, and it makes it less stressful. At least for me, makes it much less stressful when you're trying to decorate, because you don't have to pull out all the boxes at one time. You can pull out just what you know you want. I know I do have bins and bins of Christmas ornaments, but I also know that I have 2 bins that are just things that go on shelves, on tables, that are not for on a tree, they don't hang, that are just that, so that I can decide, I can open them up, decide which things I'm going to use this year. Am I going to use all the penguins, or am I going to do, you know, a mix of all kinds of stuff, use some of the vintage? And it's this way, it's much less stressful because I can pull out what I need as I have time to do it normally. Um, and I don't feel overwhelmed because I don't have to pull everything out to root looking through for specific things. So, because I know I tried to start organizing. It's not all organized because I didn't get that far before we had to empty that storage unit into the house. So, but I know it started, and I know there's specifics. And what did you knock over now? Been a morning with them. I know. I still go back sometimes, and I'll just play one of their old live sales just because I miss Sarah so much and Sam and hearing about the kids. So don't feel overwhelmed, Val. It's okay. It's still only the 10th of December. You got 15 more days. You've got more days to do it than you have behind you. You only got 10 days, 9 days behind you in December. You got 15 more days before you got to hit that deadline. So you're okay. Take a breath, Val. You'll be okay. CDC, I have done local flea markets. The problem in my area is the big flea markets price themselves out of possibility. If you've seen my live sales, you know a lot of my stuff is small stuff. And they got to the point where the two big flea markets near me priced themselves to $60 a spot. And that's too much. I mean, that's what I might make in a day. At that point, is it worth my time to sit there all day? And no, I could spend the day trying to get more listed or sort it out and see what's getting donated or whatever. But and the little ones, I did my health we had the pandemic, and then I hurt my spine. So I had a lot of time in there where I couldn't go do one. I went and did one this year at a church, a smaller flea market, where luckily the table was only $10. And I barely made a profit, and I didn't make a profit until the last half hour of the sale. Ouch. So it could be hit or miss. We have found another way. I mean, now because of the spine, it is a real question of whether I'd be able to do. I mean, the flea market, Mike had to drop me off, help unload the car because I couldn't lift it, some of the boxes. And then he went to work, and I knew he worked until 2. And then he came because he was going in just for a couple of hours to cover somebody who got sick. And then he came back and got me at 2:30. And we packed it all up, and I had already sorted out what was going to go to be dropped off. So we went back by way of Aston, dropped it off at Green Drop. Because I had a rule that if it's gone to a flea market, it goes to 2, and if it still hasn't sold in 2, it gets donated. That's how it works. That way it's constantly going out. Yard sales don't work in my area. Chester is a distressed city, and everybody thinks all of Chester is a bunch of dilapidated crack houses, and it's not. You know, I mean, it certainly had areas like that years ago. It had quite a few, but they've been pulling those down. There's not that much anywhere. The biggest problem in Chester is lack of jobs. It used to be quite the industry town, but it was a lot of machine shops and things that made things to supply the Philadelphia Navy Yard, and that's all gone now. So it's getting there. It's getting more and more stuff back in. But yeah, $60 is ridiculous. And there were only 2, you know, right within the area. Mike and I had been thinking about saving this stuff up and going to one of the ones that's like an hour away. One up in Bartow, PA, which is above Philadelphia. And that's like an hour and a half drive away, but you could get a table for $20. And it's huge. It's much bigger than the other. It's at least as big as the other 2, but it's more well known, and they're all the time. They're like every weekend. And then Philly Flipper put us on to an auction house not far from me that I didn't know about, that they will take anything. The only 2 auction houses I know are more towards the Glen Mills area, which in our area is slightly more money. upper middle class area, and they would curate what they would take. And so with all this small stuff, they don't want to, unless it's something like if I suddenly found a box of Roseville pottery, they don't want to take it. So that's why we were trying to do the flea markets. And I've been doing flea markets for years. You know, we've emptied family houses doing that all the way back into the 80s. But this place in Norwood, they'll take anything. So now we're trying to pull stuff and set up so that I have a 1930s TV cabinet. There's no guts to it. We used it to store our board games in growing up as kids. And so it's too big and bulky, and it's just not going to fit for anything we're going to use. But it's cool because it's an old TV cabinet. Still got the glass screen and everything on it. So I had mentioned it to Paul, that first load of stuff we brought back to the house from his warehouse. And he told me about them, and they'll come pick stuff up. So we're trying to set things up so that we'll have box lots. We'll have all kinds of stuff that either is an I don't want to ship that thing, or is stuff that we want to clear out of here, but it's either something that's not something that really should go on a live sale. And like, I have a whole box of stuff that's all, I have 2 vintage erector sets that have issues. I don't even know if they have all the parts. But I also have like a knockoff erector set that was Mike's as a kid. He doesn't want it. They're way too heavy to deal with shipping. Since the one is the lunar module set, and it doesn't have all the parts, and some of the parts have rust on them, so it's got issues. It's not, unless it's in great shape, it's not worth shipping and all that to put it on eBay. They're not, unless they're in great shape, they're not fetching a great price. So I can make a box lot of that stuff and send it with TV. And there's a bunch of old bottles that, again, that's the same kind of thing. I'm going to make a box lot and send that with it. And so we're starting to accumulate. So it'll be great when we have, I need Mike's help because there's some odd bits of furniture on the wood porch outside. And we want to get all that together so that they can come and just take a chunk of stuff all at once. And so there is a plan. There is a plan. So we have a couple of old radios around here. I think there's even an old turntable, like 1930s old turntable up on the 3rd floor, I think. So, hello, Leslie. There's my sister, my adopted sister. The Putz houses that I sold in the live sale that said Leslie on the bottom, they were hers. As a kid, they were from her branch of the family. So what else is everybody working on? So my working on today is to get that list and then go downstairs with it and start packing. And, oh, you've got the kids home for the weekend. Well, tell those little darlings here. They're not so little. They're both taller than me probably by now. I know Elric is. Tell those darlings I love them and I miss them. And I'm still trying to figure out how to get all the way out to your house because I don't have a car. Mike has a rental car, but of course right now, but only he's allowed to drive it. So that's the car thing right now, is that the estimator was here. The engine is not as bad as we thought, which is fantastic. And so there's a collision place that can't take it right away, which I wish they'd have told us that before, but because you only get the rental car for 30 days, but they're sure they'll get us in by Christmas. And we decided that Mike asked me my opinion, and I said, get the rental anyway. Christmas is coming. You have to be able to get to and from work. The alignment is so off on that car. It's not safe to drive it. The minute you hit a pothole, the steering wheel wants to wrench out of your hand. And so now that he knows kind of more of what's wrong with it, now he's going to call his dad and talk to him, because he hadn't told his dad until, because his dad knows some mechanic stuff about cars. And so he decided that, well, he made the decision. He's like, well, I'll tell Dad when I actually have information that I know about, of what had happened. But the bodywork's off, the alignment's a little off, and you hear tiny bells? Yes. Who have we got? We've got Arwen and Elrond, who I still have not found out where he ditched his collar. And who's she attacking? All I can see is black ears. So she's either after Frodo or after Gimli. I'd be surprised if she's after Gimli, because he outweighs her significantly. So she doesn't tend to attack him. Yes. Yep, she's playing with Frodo. What? You hear me tapping the pen. That's only as bait, because they want to see you. Frodo. Yeah, any little noise, then they come investigate. So I started tapping the pen on the paper. So there you go, Nora. There's your fix of tiny little bells. You're making Christmas cookies and you want to send your husband all that way to kidnap me for the night. I do think the caffeine is now out of them, though. If they don't stop tipping over their water balls at night, I'm going to wring their necks, because it's leaking through my floor in his basement. Mike got these water bottles so you have the water bowl, but then it's got this reservoir that from gravity keeps the water bowl full. And we thought, with 6 cats in the house, these would be great. I thought this was wonderful. So he went and got a second one, since there are 6 altogether with the doctor in the house. But this one likes to play with water. And I'm pretty sure it's your fault, Elrond, that at night, he's knocking one or both of them over, and then the water leaks out all over the floor, all the way under the table. Just a nuisance. So that's problematic. But I do think the caffeine is out of them. Like, they slept, yesterday was still, like, with 2 of them, it still seemed pretty rough. Arwen and Gimli were still, like, every time they were awake, they were just kind of spastic. She literally was trying to climb that wall, and there was nothing on the wall. Oh, he volunteered to come get me. But today they definitely are a lot more normal 8-month-old kittens. So that's, yeah, she's running around. This is normal. She does this once a day. She attacks the sheet on Michael's bed. I don't know why. She's just entertaining herself. This is what she does every day. At some point during the day, she just attacks Michael's bed. Yeah, see, Nora, I'm beginning to kind of think that is normal for some cats. I've never had a cat do it before, but Elrond is constantly attacking and playing with stuff with water. There's a styrofoam cup that I keep on the bathroom sink up here for the doctor, and it's always Elrond knocking it over. He's always putting his paw in it, playing in it. I take a shower, he sits on the edge of the tub, and as soon as the shower part's turned off, he hops into the tub and is in the little bit of water that's still waiting to go down the drain, because, old plumbing, the drains are a little slow. But he's constantly wants to play in it. And I'm always pulling him out of the kitchen sink. If there's anything with any water in it, he's there to play with it. The others, not so much. But him, yeah, he's fascinated by water. It's an absolute nuisance. So, Well, Leslie, we'll have to figure out we'll have to figure out a block because it's been way too long since I've seen you guys. And it's been because I've repeatedly had car trouble as as Gary kind of slowly destroyed my car. Yes, kitties are funny. It's just kind of overwhelming with so many of them at one time. I finally have a good picture of you, little girl. So hopefully I can get her on the Forgotten Cats Facebook thing and find her a home. I'm kind of leery. Michael gave me a good point. He said, is it safe, was how he put it, to give them a good home now? Because how many people get kittens for Christmas and then the kitten is overwhelmed by new place, new smells, new everything. Now there's a tree full of nice glittery things. They get in a tree, they get into trouble, and then they go, well, we shouldn't have gotten a kitten, and then they dump it at the ASPCA. I see his point. It is something to think about. Yeah, see, Val, it's true. And it is something to think about. Some days these cats are exhausting me, though. It's too many of them. So especially as like they're just basically, when they play, because they're getting bigger, they play hard. And there's been more issues with that. Hello, Denise. But what's one more month? If it means then in January you'd get somebody that actually really does want a cat. So, yeah, animals are not disposable. Denise, we had an older rescue. Michael used to have a dog named Verona. Was a long-haired dachshund. Was absolutely sweetheart. And she was an elderly dog when we got her. And we made her we only had her for not quite 3 years. And was the sweetest dog and absolutely devoted to Michael. But the person who had her was elderly and had passed away. We figured it had been a man, and the family wouldn't take her, so they put her to the SPCA. And the ASPCA, the local one to us, had just become a no-kill shelter, and we went out just to look. It was only $50 to get her. Mike was the first person she had responded to, and they'd had her for 2 months, and they really were getting worried that she would never get adopted because she wouldn't come near anybody. She'd just lay there. She was so depressed. But Mike sat down on the floor and started calling her, and she put her head up and walked over and licked his fingers through the bars. That was the first sign of life she'd given anybody in 2 months that they'd had her there. And so he said, can we take her for a walk? So she was overjoyed. She went right outside into the grass, did her business, came around, sat down at his feet and just looked up. And he's going, what does she want? I said, I think she wants you to pick her up. As soon as he did, she just kind of wiggled, laid down in his arms, then looked up at him, licked him under the chin, and then put her head down to go to sleep. He was hooked. How could you not? How could you not then get the animal? It's like, I think we have so much for us getting a look. Let's go ask how much she would be. And they said, well, she's a senior dog and we really wanted to find a home. So as a senior animal, she is so much less to cost. And they said, she's $50. And I'm like, hey, Mike, how much money do you have on you? And between the two of us, we had just enough. We came home with a dog. Yes, and I really do think he reminded her of the previous owner because she would follow Gary around. She would follow Mike around. Me, she didn't. As long as I fed her, she didn't care. But she absolutely wanted to sit next to you sit next to one of them while they watch TV or be on Mike's lap. But me, I was there. As far as she was concerned, oh yeah, that one feeds me. That was it. So Oh, that's such a shame, Denise. Uh-oh. Yes, I know you hear it. There's something that gets into the eaves above Mike's room, and we can't figure out from where. And the way the house is built, thank goodness, there's no connecting spot. The only connecting spot is where the big hole is out there, but there's no actual, that's a flat spot to give access to the roof. And so there's no actual gap between where these eaves come down and then that flat spot is. There's no actual gap right there. We looked because we could see it because of that hole. So whatever it is, it can't get into the house, but you hear it on days like now where it's warm, and you hear it at night, which makes me think it's not a squirrel. But we can't figure out where the devil it's getting in. And there's still some vines outside this window, and we wonder if there's not a spot where some of the wood on the overhang might have gotten rotten and they managed to make a hole. So, yeah. Yeah. So, who's working on anybody working on a death pile today? Do some of you not know what a death pile is? Let's start there to see if you, hi Kathy, see if anybody needs some motivation on a death pile. A squirrel literally would need just a hole that big, just that. That's slightly bigger than a golf ball. That's all they need. They don't need a big space, because I have one getting in now, getting into my kitchen roof, because it's getting into the kitchen porch roof, and somewhere between that and over the kitchen, it's found a spot. The bad part, I didn't mind the raccoon being up there. Raccoons don't chew on wires, but squirrels will. And it can get to where the wiring is for the kitchen light. I don't want that thing up there. I keep telling the outdoor cats going, can't you kill that one? See that one? Go get it. They don't listen to me. Oh, good, Denise. You got a few things listed. That's good. For those of you who don't know what a death pile is, that's when you're a reseller and you have a pile of stuff that you've just not, it either wasn't easy to list, or you knew you had to do research on it, or you had to clean it, or you had to fix it, or you had to do something, but you just hadn't gotten to. And so you need to just knuckle down and just deal with it and get it cleaned up and listed. Nora, you're beginning to make me wonder what this box is that you're filling for me. I mean, Mike looks at our whole house as a death pile, because he said, you got it because people died. You've got more than you can deal with, so there's always a pile of stuff you haven't dealt with. And when you die, I'm still going to have some of it to deal with, and I'm just going to have an estate sale. So he thinks the whole house is a death pile. In his view, I can't say he's wrong. Trish is prepping for another drop sale. That is on my list today. I have to do a drop sale. And we had one sale of bolts of ribbon. That's the flat, almost papery type craft ribbon. Some of these bolts have like 80 yards on them. And so I did sell a few, mostly the velvet ones. So I have to do a drop sale. I decided I'm going to do that stuff by the yardage. Because I think if you're making a bow out of it, it takes anywhere from 3 to 5 yards to make if I remember right from working at Joann Fabrics decades ago. That's about what it takes, I think, to make one of those, fancy bows for on a wreath. So I want to get that filmed today, because the memberships for the Fairy Realm members of my channel, they get the drop sales for a day before everybody else does. So I need to get it done, because I want to drop it if I can. I want to drop it today or tonight, but I want to get it dropped within the next 12 hours. And then that way, then tomorrow, whenever I finally get it dropped, then I can set it to go live for everybody the next day. So, and as you see, Trisha says she's working on linens for her drop sale for today. If you like linens, you need to always check Trisha's drop sales. Trisha always has really cool linens. I just watched a drop sale she did on framed art. She had some gorgeous pieces. She had some really nice pieces. So Trisha is Sandy and Otto. And if you're watching on your, I don't know if you can do it on your phone, but if you are in the chats on a computer, there's 3 little dots next to everybody's name. And if they have a channel, if you click once on those little dots, if they have a channel, it'll have at the very top, go to channel. And that way you can go to the person's channel and subscribe and then come back to us. That was a nice new thing that had popped up that I really like. That you can do that. Makes it easier to find channels they recommend. So that's my plans today. Mike works until 2, and then I'll probably have to help him with Christmas lights if he's still thinking of doing it when he gets home. And then actually I think he's going to the gym after work, so I have a little more time. But I did work on when the repair guy was here for the dryer. We now have a working dryer. That's all fixed. But when he was here, I took the tote of things that I needed to get on Etsy, and I took everything that did not need ironing, and I took it out front, and I took an old tablecloth, and I put that over the bench that needs paint. So it had a reasonable backdrop, and I took a bunch of pictures in my phone. Is it only available for mods? Oh, that doesn't show up for everybody. I didn't know that, Denise. I didn't know that, CDC. I thought that showed up for everybody. Sorry about that. But so in my phone, I have photos of, well, I sold one of them in my live sale. I sold the purse in my live sale because I was looking for, I was like, I need something for the thumbnail. So I just took a picture of one of the purses that I had made a long while ago. And so I put that in my live sale so I could delete those 2 pictures. But I've still got 2 Renaissance fair kind of vests for women I need to get listed. I have a Battlestar Galactica. Leslie will know this one because it came from her mom's estate. I have a Battlestar Galactica bedspread from 1970 that is probably going to go on eBay. I need to get that measured and listed. And I have a pair of embroidered placemats. I'm missing something. Oh, I have a Navy pillow. I have a pillowcase that has the Navy emblem on it that I need to get all that. So I need to get all that onto Etsy and onto my phone. So I was working on something while the repair guy was here. So that, because I was like, I need to, and the cats were stuck in the house. So, because I was only on the front porch. And, so, even you got to find your times. Sometimes you have to find your moments where, okay, I have a moment where I can't go to the 3rd floor to do this because he's in the basement. I want to stay on the 1st floor. I'll do this. Let's get this done. And so sometimes you have to, I don't think you mean 1938, Leslie. You and I aren't that old. So sometimes you have to pick your moment where you have a moment and you go, you know what, I can do this little thing. I might not get them listed, but I can get the photos. So that was great. So I went through that bin. There's other stuff in there, but it's stuff that needs an ironing, and that just wasn't going to happen. Yes, that just was not going to happen that day. No. So that stuff will just stay in there. But that I at least got some of it, and that's a start. You know, what is it from? There's a line in Alice in Wonderland, must have a beginning, you know. And that's very true. You've got to have a beginning somewhere. So if today is the day where you just have a moment where, you know, you're just waiting on something else, see if there is that little job that you, even if you know you might not see it all the way through, is there any part of that job you can start and just do? That you can get it out of your way and get it done. Sometimes that's the only way big jobs get done, is because you're breaking them down to small little things, and you can get a little done each day, maybe. Or, you know, and then if you have, I'm sure there's fabric from Woolworth in this house. But so you pick your projects when you have time to do, when you have the block of time to do a big project, you plan that out. But sometimes in the course of a day, you find moments like I always do the dishes while I'm waiting for the kettle to boil for hot tea. Because it never fails. As soon as the sink is empty, Gary empties dishes out of his room, or Mike brings dishes down out of his room. So there's always dishes to do. So I do them, whatever I can do in the time it takes for that kettle to boil. I get them done. And then there's some in the dish rack. I keep trying to train these two men. If you see dry dishes in the dish rack, put them away. I'm still beating that dead horse. Come on, help me out. Because it's very frustrating that I have all this to deal with. It's very frustrating if they're not doing anything to help keep the house moving. And I'm supposed to do that too. Like I tell my brother, I'm not mom. Mom was a stay-at-home mom. She sewed to make extra money, but I'm not her. I have all this to do, and I want all this gone. You know, I want to make a good day. I do not have a dishwasher. The dishwasher died. We got given a second one from somebody who bought a new one. That lasted one wash. And then the second wash, I realized smoke was coming up out of where the wiring was. And I went, oh, no, that's gone. So where the dishwasher was is now a little nightstand that had been painted gold for a show. I think for Gondoliers, for the throne room in Gondoliers, when I did it at one of the community theaters. But that is just big enough square that the rice cooker crockpot thing is sitting on it for storage. And then the cat tower is there by the window, because that's where the where the dishwasher had fitted in. And we used to have to pull the tubing out and hook it to the sink. Old school. None of this built in under the cabinet, under the counter stuff. That kitchen is so old. But that gap worked great because it gave me a spot for the cat's litter box and for the tower that's in the kitchen, so they could see out the window, so that the litter box isn't just out where you get litter everywhere with this many kittens. But yeah, they are adults. They are adults. Gary, unfortunately, was raised at a time when, you know, the men were considered that, oh, that's women's work and we don't have to do that. And that's a definite problem. So I keep working on him on that nonsense that, hey, you know, times have changed. Get with the program. Mike takes fits and starts, but he does help, and Mike does a lot of the outdoor work, does all the grass cutting. His big project now that he has to get to and hasn't yet is that there's ivy is taking over the property, and I'm allergic to regular ivy. I cannot be pulling that stuff out. And for me to pull stuff out, if it doesn't give right away, it hurts my back. And I made a mistake of grabbing a handful of stuff that I thought was a weed, but in the middle was a baby oak tree and it had lost its leaves and I didn't know. So I gave a good yank and that oak tree did not come. And this is an oak tree about this tall. It didn't move and my back just suddenly felt like somebody punched me. Ah. I said something about it to the doctor and he's like, yeah, because it exerts more pressure on your spine to bend over and pull something ground level than it does actually to even lift something from a tabletop that's heavy and carry, because other muscles can take it. Whereas you're trying to pull, most of that is in where your back is bent. So it's in the small of your back. So it's right where all the damage is. And when Mike got it out, the taproot on that thing, I wanted to measure it, but I swear that taproot was a good 10 or 12 inches long. And the tree itself was just this little, maybe a foot high, little tiny thing. Because there's a pin oak over here on just against the property line. So we're always finding little oak trees popping up. But man, I saw stars. So... Oh, you've been rearranging the house and all the windows have to be designed for my cats. My cat, I know somebody had to have thrown up somewhere, but I haven't found it because somebody got to my Christmas cactus. I've had to take it out of the back bathroom because they were trying to eat it. This Christmas cactus had belonged to my great grandmother. You should see the center of this thing is like a tree. It's like that. This thing is so old and it has been babied through so much. And everybody in the family had cuttings from this thing. But my great aunt had it forever in her sitting room window. Then my mom had it in the playroom window where it would bloom every winter. And then I had put it up in the bathroom window where it got it's the same. It's directly above, so it gets the same amount of light. So it would bloom every winter. It is not going to bloom this winter. With these little monsters, the only safe place I found for it was to sit it on top of the toaster in the kitchen because the drain board that has Mike's coffee maker, my tea maker, my sink has a double drain board. There's one on each side. They can't get to one side. And if the rice cooker's in front of the microwave, they can't get to that side. But I put the rice cooker away because I hadn't been using it. And so now that quick, one of the little monsters got to it and ate everything off that side. Ate it. There's no pieces anywhere. That'll make a cat puke. And so it's the only plant left in the house because I gave away every other plant that I knew was poisonous to them. Because I had I don't even know what it was called. It was a vine thing that a friend had given me. And that was poisonous. And I had Wandering Jew, which is poisonous to cats, and was like, nope, go. Oh, darling, you have arthritis in your spine. Yeah, it's not fun. Yeah, I've thought about that I need to find a bird cage that's big enough, because this thing was about that wide. So that's pretty wide. And, but now it's this wide because this half is gone. Yeah. I don't know if I have any chicken wire left in the basement. We used to have some down there, but I think that's gone. Have to get some. So, yeah, I need to do something because it's the only house plant, and it's kind of like it's kind of a fun thing that it's come down through the generations in the family. Like you're not destroying this one. Just not. Let's see, where am I? She wanted 3 of those. Okay. So, So that's how that's going. When I'm looking down, I am still working. I can't, the door doesn't close. Being that it's oh yeah, I have turmeric tea, and it does help because turmeric is anti-inflammatory. And that was one of the things that they suggested I do to help get off being on the naproxen so much, was to see how my body reacted to turmeric. And while things are, as long as they're not aggravated, the turmeric helps keep it from getting aggravated. But once it flares, then I'm back on the naproxen, which is no fun because I'm on like 500. When I had to take the naproxen, it's like 500 milligrams. It's a lot. It's a lot to be on, taken twice a day. But the bathroom door does not shut tight. There's quite a few doors in this house that, I mean, you figure the front half of the house is 1911, so it's already over 100 years old. And the back half of the house is 1935, so it's getting to be that age. And we did have an earthquake a couple of years ago in this area, and it caused the house to settle in such a way that there are doors that are no longer square and they don't shut. The bathroom door is one of them. My bedroom door, that latch hasn't worked. It shuts, but that latch hasn't worked in years. So I actually have a bolt on the inside. I have to do that every night to keep the little monsters out, because otherwise they can just nudge it and the door swings right open. But there's a couple doors like that in the house where they don't quite fit tight. Some of them, it's just that the latch doesn't work. So it's in the big green book. I have a 3-inch thick binder. Now it's not full, but it's just on the house, and it's got dividers in it for particular rooms. It's got a divider in it just for the porches. I think I did a video where we went through that one time, and it's just because it gives me a clear view of all the different stuff that needs to happen to the house. And it's broken down with these lists. There's also folders inside that I can put like articles I've read from This Old House magazine, or printouts of stuff of how to repair something or where to go to get something. And it's all in the folder part that goes with that section. And so that kind of stuff of taking the locking mechanisms, the old doorknobs apart. And because some of them, it's just a matter of, I've done it with a couple of them, they just need to be re-oiled. It's just from age that they've seized up. And some of them just need to clean them out and oil them and get it working again. And then, like, I did that with Mike's door, and now the latch works fine. So I've done it with that one. I've done it with most of the first floor doors. So most of them all now work. But I hadn't gotten to the second floor yet to take all them apart, because it takes time, because if you find any that have any bit of rust on it, you got to file that off with some sandpaper and clean it all out. And it takes time to get them apart and then get them back. And you got to be careful, make sure you get them back together right. Worst thing you can have is like the doorknob falls off. So, but it's in the booklet. That's a monster of a book, but it's in that book. And what is a red? I can't read my own handwriting. I thought it said red shark. I'm like, what? That was ribbon. No, it's supposed to say red sheer. So that is a way to, if you have a lot to do, it's not a bad idea. The only criticism I got is somebody said, in the time it took you to make that book and explain things, you could have done some of those jobs. And it's like, but you have to. I have not found long gloves. happy days. I've not found long ones. So far, I've just found some short ones, including a pair I've been looking for a couple of years now that I like that actually fit me. But I think I did find a bag that, what did I do with it? I found a bag that had 3 more pair of gloves in it, and I thought of you. And then I put it somewhere because I thought of you. And when I need to let her know, what did I do with it? See, this is what happens. I find something and I go, oh, this person's looking for these. And then I sit it somewhere and forget where. It's not so much that they were fancy ones as they were nice, wonderful old cotton gloves, not like the thin, like glove, like 1950s gloves, but they were different colors. Because I think there was a yellow pair and a mauve pair and a navy pair, and they were different colors. So, darling, from your mom, there were so many gloves and handkerchiefs, and let's not even start talking about that jewelry that I sold off for years for you. Hey, Harry. Oh, we haven't talked about emptying Aunt June's place. That was an endeavor. Fun, but boy, was that an endeavor. We'll have to have that as a live chat some night. Brain it. Oh, but I'll sit stuff and I'll sit this aside, and then I forget where it is I set it aside. Oh, that's why I can't wait to have that office, to have that black hole challenge room, which I've started a little bit working in there. Not a lot, but a little. I've gotten the card table became a catch-all for some stuff, and I've gotten that half cleared up because I've gotten caught up with some of the packing. I'm not all the way, but I'm some of the oldest stuff that's been here, I've been catching up on. I was so happy I finally got a box the right size. Somebody had wanted this big bulletin board that I had decorated and decoupaged from a craft sale, and bless her heart, she still wants it because it has a frame that went with it too, and she bought both of them. And then it became a problem because the boxes I thought I had that were the right size were not the right size. And so I've been trying for ages to get one the right size, and finally got one. Just fits in there. I'm going to have to wrap it in sheets of paper because there's no way to put bubble wrap around it, because if I do, it won't fit in the box. But I've been getting that stuff cleared out, which is good, which is very good. Because, some of these people have been, bless their hearts, they've waited a year for their stuff because I was getting caught up again and then had that spine relapse. I know you'll take them off my hands, dear. That's why I thought of you. So I have a box that. So how many of you have found like a box of stuff in your house that you just don't quite know what to do with? It's like something that you got to make a decision, because our houses end up filled often because of deferred decisions. We just don't want to deal with it, or we set it aside, we don't get back to it, and it's just deferred. And then people like Harry come along at our yard sales and buy it and sell it. I have a box that is all doll clothes. I don't know what dolls. They're not Barbies. They're bigger. So they're some kind of baby doll. And I just don't quite know what to do with them. Because I know some dolls, but the doll market is massive, absolutely massive. And so I don't even know where to begin to try to identify if they were for a specific doll. Like, I know there's people that can sell clothes because, oh, it belonged to the old Chrissy doll, the original one, the model doll, not baby Chrissy. Um, or dolls, clothing that belongs just to Barbie. We all know there's websites you can go to identify those. But what do you do when it's like the next size up generic baby doll kind of thing? I mean, do I have doll clothes for Chatty Cathy? I don't know. Does anybody know a website to look at for that kind of stuff? I mean, I know there's sites for the Barbie clothes that you can get ID'd as whether it actually was Barbie clothes or not. But I just don't know for other doll clothes. Hi, Marianne. I saw a part of your live yesterday. I don't think I got a chance to chat other than to say hello and give you a thumbs up, and then it ran for about half an hour because I kept getting up and leaving my desk. And oh, okay, bag them up and sell by size. That's a thought. That's a thought. Do it by sizes. Yeah, because some of them are bigger. Some of them are more for baby dolls that are the actual like baby size. Like I had a couple of those. And other ones are more of like the baby doll that's only like what's that? Maybe 8 inches high and 3 inches wide. So that's not a bad idea. Just bag them up by size. That's not a bad idea. I'm also looking for, if anybody knows of it, a website to ID vintage paper dolls. We're talking like 1940s, 1950s paper dolls. Because I have some that were all cut out that are loose and they're bagged, but it doesn't, and their clothes are with them. But I have no idea who these people are. I've tried Google Lens with a couple of them and didn't get anything that hits. Oh, Warren, I don't know if Warren knows vintage ones. Warren makes these great teacher's books with the paper dolls that he gets. That's why he likes to use more modern ones for those. Because I don't think he uses any vintage ones for those, but he makes these great workbooks for teachers that uses the paper dolls, and they're really cool looking. Oh, Mike looks for magic. You know some of the old ones? Okay. Yeah, I know he buys some older ones too. So Miss Pat is the doll queen. Oh, okay. Yeah. What can I write? Come on, Mike. I know you had Post-it notes. You raided my Post-it notes stash and took them all. All right. Because that box, unlike the gloves, I know where that box of doll clothes is because I literally, it's sitting right over there. It's right there. Okay, I'll get her to help. Because I thought about, because I realized like I had this box that I had washed the stuff and I'd put it in the box, and then I didn't know what happened to the box. Well, Mike didn't open it up, saw what it was, that it was just doll clothes one day, and he was cleaning because it was in his room, because I used his bed to try to spread it out and match them up and make sure everything was in good repair. And then I had put them in the box, and then I got busy and I had left the box in his room. He had stuffed it into his closet to get it out of his way. So while we were in there looking for Christmas paper, which I knew I had stuffed in there, up in the shelf, that's when we found it last night. And I'm like, I should take care of this. I also have some dolls in the playroom I need to get listed. I have a Marie Osmond doll that now's the time of year. Get that sucker. I mean, it really should have been done last month, but hey, you can't get to everything, and you can't waste the energy thinking of, oh, it should have happened. Yeah, but it's not that month now, so just get it going. And but I want to get this Marie Osmond doll. It's in the original box, and I want to get that out of the playroom and get that posted too onto eBay. So I've got to get that going. I only have 30 something sold, so I only have 39 things listed on eBay right now. That's not anywhere near enough. It needs to be like 400 things. I don't have storage space to put those. But I'll get there, because like right now I still have just that little shelf. But as we get more of that back to that black hole challenge, that's the plan. Have a room with big shelves that I can sort everything out on, and then there'll be a set of shelves that's got bins that's just for what's listed goes in there, and it's all organized so that I can, keep this stuff moving in a better way and not lose anything. Because that also was a challenge when I hurt my spine the first time and couldn't walk without a walker, couldn't stand up straight. Mike put stuff in boxes and then set it aside, but then he put empty boxes on top of it. So there's stuff I'd been looking for a year, and here it was in that pile, and I didn't know it. And I found something for our dear Miss Katie from Vintage and Vinyl I didn't know I still had, because Mike had put it in one of those boxes and tucked it, in that pile. So, oh crud. So I thought this had gotten sent to her a year ago, so she gonna get a surprise. Because I found that I have this block of wood that is now dried and aged, because when we took down the giant Southern Magnolia, I had asked her, since she makes these wonderful pens, wonderfully quality handcrafted pens, and all of the shaft is some kind of wood. If she ever shares her website that has those, they're stunning. And they are worth a good quality pen that you can refill, that you can have for the rest of your life, is worth it. And it's just so beautiful, the wood grains on them. And I asked her if she wanted a chunk of magnolia wood. I mean, I know it's a soft wood, so for building it with carpentry, it's not really good for that. But for a pen, you only need a little bit. So I saved a block. I had the tree trimmers save me a chunk. I hope it'll work, because they gave me a chunk that's actually, it's kind of angled because it's part of a branch. But so I found it, and it's all nice and dry now, because you have to let wood dry and age. And but the tree was dead anyway. But anyway, I found it, and I want to get that shipped out to her. And then with it, I go, what else is in this box? Why is there this? Oh, it's a typewriter ribbon tin, and she collects those. And she had got that from me and paid for it. And then I got hurt the next day, and I didn't see it. I assumed I had sent it, because I had it on my papers that it was paid and had the invoice number, and here I didn't know it. I was so embarrassed that it's still there, but you couldn't help it. I mean, I tripped, and there was an intake of breath, and then the screaming started, and it was months before. I mean, you guys didn't even see me online too much, because I couldn't do anything except lay flat. So, and Etsy, yes, I do have an Etsy store. Everything's the same name: eBay, Etsy, Instagram, YouTube. It's all Thisoverstuffedhouse. So all one name. And my Etsy store has been woefully understocked for most of the year. But I was determined that I'm getting some stuff on there, which is why I took those photographs and have them in my phone now. Because I saw an opportunity, even though it was, I had about half an hour where, waiting for the repair guy to be done, that I took it, and I've got to get that stuff listed. I got the photos, so that's a start. I know what prices they're going to be listed at, because at least two of the items I've I've sold similar before, so I know what price I need to get for those. So like the navy pillow. And I can't decide, do I want to sell it as just the pillow or the pillowcase? But I think I'll just do it with the pillow in it since it's easier because it's Christmas time. And have that done. And there's so much more that eventually has to get onto that site because there's an entire laundry basket behind me on the cedar chest that's all just vintage and modern panels of stuff that needs to get made so that it can go on it. Because for the vintage panels of the things that would make a stuffed pillow, I do better with them if I sew them than I do by just selling the panel. So yeah, it's some days are a big challenge. On the 13th, I am due to be back at the spine doctor, and I'm not going to be stupid like I was last time and wait so long because I know they'll ask me, do you need spine injections? And this time I'm going to say yes. I'm not going to be stupid and wait as long as I did this summer because then I couldn't get a time in. And so I had to wait even longer. And I was really hurting. And I'm already getting twinges on the left side of my spine. So I know that it's starting to be time for more trigger point injections. So this time I'm not going to be stupid. I'm going to say, yes, you're not just giving me the shot into my knee with the special gel replacement. You're going to give me the trigger point shots today. and make sure I stay functional, because that's the key thing, is to make sure you stay functional. Okay, anybody who's had physical therapy knows that once you're done therapy, they tell you, okay, you got to go home and do all these exercises at home. And most of us don't have the self-discipline to do all of them. I still am not doing what I'm supposed to with their elastic ribbons, and you tie them around your knees and there's stuff you're supposed to do. Exercise bands, I think they're called. I'm not doing those because I don't know what I did with the bands. But I am back to, and I finally, like the last 3 months, I kind of got to the point where I was doing so much around the house that I wasn't doing the stretches. I was still taking walks, but I wasn't doing the stretches. And I made a point of around mid-November, you can't do that. You have to make sure before you get out of bed, you have to do the leg lifts and stretches that you have to do for your hip and for your spine. And I've been really much better at it, and I feel much better. It's amazing how just having a good stretch in the morning, even if you're only taking 10 minutes to do it, has made a difference to how far I can go in the course of a day before any discomfort kicks in. We saw my last live sale. I had to stretch twice during the live sale because my back started to seize up. And that was another clue. It's like, okay, behave yourself and make sure you do your stretches and get your shots. And because I really can't have, if I'm going to get this house emptied out, I can't have times where I can only work 3 hours before I'm laying flat again for 2 hours and then work 3 and then 2 hours. That's just, I'm losing too much time in the day. So first rule of clearing out your own stuff is take care of your stuff. This stuff. Take care of this stuff first, because then you'll have more energy, less pain to deal with this stuff, like behind me. This is a doll chair that was my mother's, and we now have both parts, so now I can repair it, and that'll get sold. Actually, I might Nobody has young girls. I was going to say, oh, I might give it for the great niece. And then I realized, no, she's too old for that now. And Jason's daughters are too old for that now. So, yeah, guess that will be going. So, yeah, if you take care of this stuff of the taking care of your body first and hydrate, I got to remember because you can't drink tea all day. Hello, Vintage Conversation. Drinking tea all day the caffeine will help dehydrate you. And people don't realize how important it is to be hydrated in the wintertime. We only think about it in the summer when we sweat, but it's just as important in the winter. You don't want dry skin? Well, you're getting dry skin because you're probably not drinking enough water to hydrate your skin. So have a drink, have at least 1 8-ounce glass of water today. Have at least one. Oh, the last of my tea. That was my last. I don't know where I'm going to find this again. It was Earl Grey, but it was called Extra Bold. And man, that was nice. And I've not seen it anywhere up here. So I'm going to have to take a trip to time we're in Delaware. Yeah, it is about how you choose to use the valuable energy you have. And no, Happy Days, I have not heard about. I vaguely remember hearing of spoon theory, but I do not remember what spoon theory is. But yeah, your energy and your time is valuable. I mean, when you work a job, yeah, I mean, it kind of is the accepted mindset that we all grew up with, is that our time in the workplace is valuable. But then we get home and we don't have that same mindset in our own house. And we should, because our time of what we do in our house, in our yard, in our lives is just as valuable as the time we have going to a job for somebody else, if not more valuable, because our lives are not our job. Our lives should not be defined by the job we have to make money to survive. Our lives are defined by who we are, what we do in our personal time. And that is valuable. That is more valuable than the time you have putting in a job for somebody else. The time you have working on yourself, on your home, on your family, that is more valuable than anything else. So it is about choosing how to use your time wisely. You know, your energy that you have declines as you get older, because usually you get more and more sedentary and you're not taking care of this part. And you need to be mindful of that and use that valuable energy. Water gives you headaches? Cold water will give me a headache. So my water bottle, I don't put my water bottle in the refrigerator. I don't drink it out cold water out of the tap either. Cold water will give me a bit of a headache. So I only drink like room temperature, or sometimes in the winter, I'll have hot water if I'm really cold and need to warm up from the tea kettle, but with maybe a little honey or a little lemon in it. But yeah, I don't tend to drink cold water because cold water will give me a headache. Teal Putz houses. Do I really? Oh, no, I don't. Yes! I was afraid my packing list that I would have to start another page. Now, what happens is, as I work through this packing list, which as you can see is several pages right now, quite a few of these are done, but I don't want to copy over a new packing list, a new sheet, until I get through this weekend and get even more packed. I have 8 boxes that are, 5 of them are invoiced, 4 are paid for. I have 3 that are half packed waiting downstairs. Hand cramp. And I have more that I want to get packed and invoiced for this week. And today is Saturday, right? So I have Saturday, I have Sunday, and we're going to the post office Monday with everything that's paid for and ready to rock and go. So good. That job is done now. I can take this, go pack, put these back downstairs in the folder. Another thing I have to do this weekend is I have to send some emails because there's a couple people that flipping crazy, and I want to get a time together where we will have a sale together, whether it's on my channel or on her channel. We want to coordinate and have a sale together, and so I have to get that done, get that email sent. I have a list of emails that have to get done on a post-it note downstairs. And before I forget, post-it note about Pat Doodles and those doll clothes. Put that on my packing list so it goes downstairs with me. And I see I left this out on the desk. I haven't ID'd this yet. That was when I did a video of when I opened up the Cedars chest. It's just a short video, but that is for the Fairy Realm members. So far, that's the only video I have up for them. They got the sneak peek in the Cedar chest for the Fairy Realm members on my channel. And that medal was one that we found in there that it probably was my father's, but I don't know what that medal stands for. Those little bar pins always have a meaning. They're usually for something specific. And I don't know what that one is for. I tried to look it up, but I kind of got lost in the rabbit hole of military awards. There's a lot of them. So, oh, you used to drink cold water and found a room temp. Yeah, yeah. And if you drink cold water, your body is using energy to try to like make it more body temperature. I don't know how to explain it, but somebody said that actually uses more energy, and I'm like, yeah, well, I could see that. So if you need water, I know in first aid for I keep wanting to say hypothermia, but that's not the right word. For dehydration, in Boy Scouts, what we got taught is to give them room temperature water or slightly warm water. Do not give them cold water. Absolutely not, if they're suffering from dehydration, because cold water can send the body into shock. So absolutely, it's always about warmer water. Apparently gets absorbed faster for somebody who's dehydrated. And always never let them chug it. Even that, you got to just sip it little bits at a time. Give your system a chance to start absorbing it. So, all right. So we've been on yeah, that's not right. Oh, wow. It's been longer than I thought. It was supposed to be an hour. We're almost at the hour and a half mark. So I hope that having a chat, seeing me, we talked about working with stuff. And I hope anybody that needed it today, this gave you a little bit of a prod, because in the beginning, that was what we talked about is, finding those moments to just work on stuff around your house that you need to take care of, whether it's cleaning, whether it's getting ready for a holiday, or whether it's going through a box or a bag of stuff. Sometimes it's just a matter of breaking down that to tiny little jobs, like, getting more stuff in my Etsy store. While I was waiting for the repair guy to be done for the dryer, I took that tote out front because it was better lighting, and I got a couple of pictures taken. So I have that in my phone. And so today I need to find my measuring tape so I can get measurements on some of them and get them listed. So I at least got the photos. So that's a start, get it started a little at a time. Oh, the doll clothes? Yeah, better. The better ones usually are tags. Some of these have tags, some of them don't. There's a few that were obviously homemade. But yeah, but I like that idea. Sort them out by size. Actually, you know what? So I don't forget. I will sort by size of the doll. Because then you can sell off lots for dolls of X size. That is a good idea. See, this is why sometimes I talk to you guys and I like having the live chats because I'll bring stuff up and you guys help me. You guys help give me answers that I'm not figuring out in my own head. And sometimes that's what we need. Sometimes we need the chat where we can throw a question out there in a chat and get help. Don't worry about your mistakes. You know, that happens. So mistakes happen in life. And if you don't have mistakes, what do you learn from? People remember their mistakes and learn from their mistakes more than they learn from when everything went smoothly and easily. So never worry about mistakes. Just accept that they happen. And then what can you figure out from them? So I tell my scouts anyway, and it works. It's what I got told by my Uncle George, and it works. So, I'm glad you think this was always fun. Yeah, I don't want anybody to feel isolated. I know all too well. Most of my life, I've always felt isolated in some way. You know, all but one cousin who we did not live near to are all older than I am, some significantly. So I was always kind of the add-on. I was always we want to do this, but what do we do about her? Because she's so much younger. It's, I mean, and then growing up, there really were only two kids my own age in the whole neighborhood. So have I ever been married? No, I got close. Had the ring and everything. Somewhere in this house is some of the material that was for the wedding dress that Mom was going to make, and that I designed. But I found out he was an idiot. And I'm not marrying anybody who's playing around. I'm just not. That's a road I refuse to go down. Not. So I ended up not getting married. And then I was 31 when I got custody of Michael. So after that, it became a real hard problem to date because everybody assumes if you're a woman with a child, she's just looking for a dad for her kid. No, I'm not. He has a dad. He has a dad he loves very much. No, I am not looking for a dad for my nephew. He has a dad and he has a mom. That kid had 3 parents who absolutely adored him. He had me, he had his mom, and he had his dad. As adults, his mom and dad had issues that he could no longer stay with them, and I was not going to lose any child in my family to foster care, so I gave up all my plans for college, and I took that on, and I have never regretted that. So, but yeah, it is much better to find out that the guy that you are going to marry is got a fatal flaw that you're just not going to deal with. There are certain things that are just a no. No. I've seen what that can do to a family. I'm not having it. And it was mutual agreement to split because we were in our early 20s. And I kind of have to agree that he wondered, once all was said and done, he did wonder if it was more we were in love with the idea of being in love than we were in love with each other. But we'd also known each other since 5th grade. We had started off being pen pals in school. We are friends on Facebook now. He's happily married. He married a woman that had 2 young sons. So he's got 2 stepsons that he absolutely adores. I think one of them has made him a grandfather now. So, I still wish him the best in the world, because he was my friend first. And while it was very, very hard for us, neither one of us holds any ill will towards the other over it. So So yeah, the plan was there, but then the reality didn't happen. I'm not going to say it's off the table. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen in life. You know, I'm, my joke is that I need to date a plumber. Now it's, I need to date a roofer. I need to date more. I need to date a plumber, an electrician, a roofer. Hello, Save Here First. She's another one with a channel. She has a fun channel. Oh yeah, I mean, that is a healthy way to deal with it. I mean, because you can't, the more you worry about something, it just seems like the more negative crap comes at you, the more it's not going to work. And I've learned that from Mike. Mike is very stoic, and he's got this attitude that, you know, if you can't change any of it, why are you worrying about it? Just let it go. What's going to happen is going to happen. And it just does free up an amazing amount of stress that you just suddenly don't have. And it's, I try every day to be more like him in that regard. That he just still has that. And children, young children are great at this. Whatever they don't understand or don't have control over, for the most part, they just let it go. They just let it out to the universe and they don't worry about it. And they just go on with their lives. And he still has that outlook. And I've seen stuff just work out for him. And I go, how? Why? It always works for you. Why? And he goes, because I don't stress about it. I just, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And then he goes on and does whatever. And the next thing you know, the positive stuff happens. So, because he's just doesn't stress about it. And I try to remember that. And I, sometimes it's a conscious, for me, many times it's a conscious effort, but it's getting easier, getting much easier. So, I'm going to sneeze again. I've had my allergy meds, but I'm going to sneeze again. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed that. I know some of you were working on projects. We haven't seen Val, so I think she got lost in her boxes of Christmas decorations because she was cleaning and trying to decorate and felt a little overwhelmed. So we talked about, you know, ways to make that a little less overwhelming. And that was early on in this. And a couple people were working on other things and listing. Trisha was getting ready to film a drop sale on linens. That's Sandy and Otto channel. So if you like vintage linens, there'll be a drop sale today, I think today at some point. Save Here First also has a channel. We had a couple people with channels drop in. Who else? All in the Attic Treasures. Marianne, she has a channel. She dropped in. No, Mike, I see you said you didn't get invoiced. No, you didn't. And actually, I just wrote down, we talked early on about my packing list and how I make this, and yours was the last one I wrote down. So now my job, once I leave here, is I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to make a salad for lunch. I'm going to eat my lunch, and then I'm going to start packing. And I want those, and those Putz houses, Mike, I'm looking at you. They have priority because these little monsters have been sniffing that basket repeatedly because there's something about them. I don't know if it's the glittery shine or the smell because they're old. They are fascinated by them. So I stuck that entire basket in the hall closet last night and shut the door so they could not get to them. So I'm going to pack everybody's package that had those Putz houses from the sale on Thursday night. They're getting packed first because I don't want anything to happen to them. I don't trust these kittens with them. Absolutely don't. Because they had way too much interest in those Putz houses. So they're getting out of here packed up today. They're the first thing I'm packing on this list. And then it's going to be Nettie's bulletin board and whatever goes in with that. And then I'll just keep plugging away at the rest of the list. So, there's Val. She's still here. She's still alive. She hasn't disappeared into her boxes of Christmas stuff and vanished on us. Oh, happy days, darling. I know how tough those pain days can be. Figure out something you can do that gives you joy. When I was flat on my back, I read a lot of books. most of them small little books that were, not heavy, because I had to, hold like this. And you're not gonna read Roots or Gone with the Wind while you're like this. One of my go-tos when I was always sick as a kid was I read Alice in Wonderland. I have my grandmother's copy, and it's held together with a ribbon because it's so old and pages are starting to fall out of it because the silk binding is going. I finally got a more recent, small, more recent in that it was printed in the 90s, a smaller hardback version. It's only this little tiny little, it's almost as big as my hands together. So I was reading that one. But it's a nice escape. And so when I first started I was laying flat and could only walk with the walker and had to lay flat most of the day, that was the first book I grabbed. So, read a lot of little paperbacks because it gave me something to do. Listened to a lot of podcasts, watched a lot of movies on my phone, on YouTube. Because you can find some old movies on YouTube. I have Netflix. I watched a bunch there. So on a pain day, find what you can do that keeps that brain occupied and gives you joy. And it will help. I'm tilting back and it's messing up the lighting again. So it does help. It really does help, because that I found was the biggest problem for the depression, is if I didn't give my brain something to do while I was stuck laying flat with all that pain when I first hurt my spine. So, darling, I hope you find something that is easy to do while you are in pain and have to sit still. And we'll keep thinking about you, that you'll have more days that are better than days that are worse. Hi, Jen. Yeah, I had just hopped on. It was supposed to be an hour, and as usual, I talk too much, and so it's closer to 2 hours. But we just all were working together, checking in with everybody, seeing who needed a little morale boost for what they were doing today. A couple people were listing. A couple people were just working on stuff around their house. Some were decorating. So Trisha was getting ready for a drop sale, to film a drop sale on vintage linens. So we've all been just egging each other on, trying to give a morale boost. I gave you guys a look of some of this, and you guys have helped. They've helped me out because I've got a box of doll clothes to deal with. But I'm now finished what my job was while I was doing this. I have my packing list all transferred over, so I can go get my salad for lunch and then go pack. Oh, I do still have to work on this. I'll tell you this one and then I'll go. So when my mom was alive, I always got the heat for it, but my job was just to create it. My job was never to pick who was going to get it. You were not allowed to get this gift unless you were hit the age of 10, because little kids can't handle it. So my favorite site to sell on, well, it depends on what I'm selling. I have found that handcrafted things that I've made do better on Etsy than they do on eBay. So they go there. But then I have found that a lot of times my collectible stuff definitely, and toys, stuff like that, definitely sell better on eBay. So it depends on what it is. That's why I sell on those two sites. I think it's gotten to the point with eBay wanting all this massive amount of, especially like the toy stuff. Oh, you got to plug in little details, and it always says you're missing some because there's some that just aren't applicable. Oh, there goes my phone. Yeah, we're just going to decline that call. So I've found that now, what did it just do? Oh, I see. That phone call gave me the circle of death and was like buffering. I've just found it faster to list on Etsy, but I haven't tried to do Etsy through the phone app. It is nice using the phone app to list on eBay, but then you end up going back in on the laptop because it always says, oh, you're missing details and drives me nuts. So I do both. So yes, Jan, there are whole days where you guys don't see me in a chat at a live sale because I won't go into them. I won't. I have on my personal YouTube, I have all kinds of stuff. I have playlists of podcasts. I have playlists for movies. I have playlists for music. Got one that's all just Christmas music. I have stuff that's on just gardening or health or cooking. And then I have the watch later list is massive. But I specifically have some things on there. The Cambridge Union and the Oxford Union have these wonderful guest speakers. And if you go through that, you can find some amazing people. I tend to gravitate a lot to the actors, but I have almost gotten through all the old ones. I just listened to Ian McKellen was on one of theirs giving a talk, and then they do questions afterwards. And I find those fun to listen to. So, yeah, I don't worry about missing details on eBay, but I do like to go in and at least get some of them. But yeah, when you can't do all those details on the app, but so you end up going in later. And unless it's something like toys, I definitely do it for toys. But for the most part, I've gotten to the point now where I'm just ignoring a bunch of them. But I do like listing through the phone on eBay. It's so much faster. It's so much easier. Who else? Oh, Jan, you have an article. Yeah, it can get harder. I've found it as I've gotten older. Focusing is a lot harder. Can't you tell from the way I talk? I sound like a squirrel. Somebody put something in the chat and I'm in the middle of a sentence to one person and I'm like, oh, on to the next one. Hard to focus. Gee, you don't say. So, but anyway, this gift usually it was a gag gift, and Mom would pick who got it, and nobody ever got it 2 years in a row. The trick was getting into it. That was the trick. My brother-in-law got me, and I got all the blame for it, which I kept saying, look, I just build them. I don't decide who gets it. I don't buy what it is. Oh no, it's all you're doing. No, it's friggin' not. But, you know, it is what it is. So the challenge is to make it something difficult to get into. So Mike wants to do this to his boss. And I don't have to worry about this because none of them watch his channel. So I have the item and I got it in this nice, pretty paper. But now I have to make it more difficult to get into. But Mike won't let me make it any bigger than this box. So my next step is I now have to build something around this. And I have to see if I have any foam core. Because what I'm thinking of doing is cutting a box, cutting all the parts to a box, and then taking a curved needle and sewing the box around this. And then I'll wrap it again. But what I'm going to do to wrap it again is I have this ribbon, and I'm going to weave the ribbon into a mat and glue that all together and then wrap it around that box and glue the ends together. No tape, glue. And so then, and I'm not gluing it to the box, just around the box. And then that'll get wrapped in another layer of something. Haven't decided what. And eventually then it'll end up in here, and this will be the last one. But that was the fun. That was always the last package given at Christmas. And you had to figure out how to get into it. You may or may not be allowed a pair of scissors, depending on how it's put together. But yeah, and everybody would watch to see. My brother-in-law got me on my birthday because I wanted marbles for in a wine jar. He put the marbles in a water balloon it took him 3 tries because the balloon kept popping, but he paper mache'd a special box that had a base built out of paper mache inside the bottom of the box to hold this thing, and he came in carrying it real careful. I finally had to put it into the sink and pop it with a knife. The noise that made on an old porcelain metal sink was very loud. But that was a cool one that he did. That was just superb, absolutely superb. But you know, we've done everything from taking the one that I got the best fun with was one of my nieces had just gotten her ears pierced, and she was, I think, 11. And so here's this little pair of earrings in a little tiny box. And I put it inside the lid of the very first box, and then took the piece of tissue paper and just taped the center of the tissue paper to the center of the box. So when she lifted that, tissue paper came with it. She just looks, sees tissue paper, drops it aside. She went through 12 boxes until she got to this little box in the center with a note that said, "Look inside the lid of the first box." Well, now she's got all these lids and bottoms, and every single one of them had a piece of tissue paper taped to the inside of the lid. And now she's got this big pile on the floor around her, and she had to hunt for the right lid. That was so simple and so fun. But yeah, I've wrapped them with fishing line, put them inside other things. You can't, the rules were it can't be something that you actually can't get into. So you can't just like put it in a wooden box and nail or glue it shut. Has to be some way that they can pull it apart or cut it apart safely. So while duct tape sometimes has been used, duct tape is just too easy. It's never usually the actual go-to. Fishing line, that was a bear. I took a package inside. We had a tube from, sometimes those wrapping paper tubes are these big round ones. And I had a small box that was a bear to do, but I had it suspended in the center of the tube using fishing line, and then put other things of fishing line through the tube all the way up both ends, and they were all knotted off. So you couldn't just cut one and then just start unpulling, pick out the fishing line. They would go through maybe twice, and then it would be knotted off. And you had to figure out how to get into that. And they weren't allowed any scissors. That was fun. The bear to do, but boy, was that one took a while. That one was fun. So, I do miss that, because once Mom passed away, we stopped doing that. Because it was her thing. I just was the engineer. And but you were never allowed to be part of it until you were 10 years old, because kids under 10 don't have the patience. They get frustrated, they get upset. So, and it was a rite of passage to be old enough to suddenly be allowed to have it, So we'd been doing that for years. So it was great. It was great. And you had to be creative. And boy, there were times that I would ask my friends going, "I'm stumped. I need some help with this." But it was a fun creative outlet for me. But I do kind of miss doing those. So it's fun to do one again for his boss. So I want to try to get that done this weekend too. So it's ready to go. He doesn't need it for another week, but I want to get it done. And so that's I need to find foam core. I don't know if I have any left, but I know which closet it should be in if I do have any left. If not, then I'll have to see if I can't figure out a way to do it out of some pieces of cardboard. But foam core would be easier, because with foam core you can actually angle the edges so that it makes a nice tight seam. You can't do that with just sheets of cardboard. Doesn't work as well. So I'm hoping I find it. So we'll see. So I'm going to go. It's, what are we at now? Yeah, we're hitting that 2-hour mark. I intended to be an hour, and these things always ended up being 2 hours because I talk too much. And of course, you know, my brain's like, you know, a dog looking for squirrels. So I hope this gave some of you some inspiration to know you're not the only one, you know, that has trouble focusing. You're not the only one having, you know, time to figure out how you can get stuff done in your day. I will call you, Leslie. We will figure out about me so that I can come out and see you guys, because it has been way too long since I have been out there. And I do miss you guys a lot. I've missed the kids growing up, which is heartbreaking. But give them a hug for me. You know, tell them their Aunt Nancy does miss them and loves them very much. And I haven't seen your menagerie. You have new cats since I've been out there. And ugly little so-and-so rooster is gone now, right? I'm not going to be attacked by that little monster. Oh, that's right. And the 2 dogs. Yeah. And a horse. You've got 1 less horse now. And that was the horse that I was so intimidated by, but he got eaten a while ago. Yeah. Oh, that one rooster. Smallest one she had. Scrawny, rough looking little thing. Thought he was king of the hill and he ruled everything. You know, I know it was trouble when she says, oh, and by the way, the yellow wiffle ball bat is in case he comes near you because he knows to respect the bat. It's like, what? They were going away and I stayed out to take care of the animals. And so I did. The horses were wonderful to me. Even though I was kind of intimidated by them, they were absolute dears for me. So, So we're not technically allowed to have chickens here in Chester, or I would have some, though. Quail are quiet. They don't make any noise, really. Might have to get some quail. So have a great day, guys. You know, if you have the project and it feels too big, break it down into small things. You know, like I did with getting those pictures while the repair guy was here. I didn't get everything out of that tub, but I got stuff that didn't need ironing and stuff I could easily list, and I'll get, so my Etsy shop will start having some more stuff in it. I kind of think I've missed the boat on a few things for Christmas because I still have a Daisy Kingdom dress that I think might be too late to put online, but maybe I'll get that up too. But that'd run as an auction so that it doesn't, I'm not going to put that up and just leave it in my store all year long. So, all right. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys. I honestly don't know what's happening Sunday. I don't know if there's going to be a work with me at 2:00 on Sunday. We'll see. But I'll definitely be live Thursday night. And so if I'm not on tomorrow, then I will see you on Thursday. So have a good day and a good weekend. No, I don't want to save highlight. What am I doing? There we go.